Welcome to the Startup Sessions, the #1 web show and podcast for trusting your gut, breaking the rules, and starting something meaningful, featuring in-depth interviews with acclaimed creative entrepreneurs that have succeeded at building their own remarkable businesses. My guest today is dedicated to helping creative entrepreneurs connect with the heart and soul of their businesses. I'm speaking with Hiro Boga, a mentor to best-selling authors, world-renowned teachers, leaders, and talented healers. She's worked with some of today's most recognized and inspiring business leaders, people like Jen Louden, Danielle LaPorte, and Pam Slim. Hiro is in the business of helping creative entrepreneurs reach new levels of creative flow, play, prosperity, productivity, and leadership in their businesses. And in our conversation today, we'll be diving into what it means to build a business that's a reflection of your deepest values and how to align those values so that they're reflected in every aspect of your business. If you're an entrepreneur that believes you can grow a business creatively and consciously while marketing with integrity and heart, then you'll be hanging on every word of today's discussion. It's all coming to you right now on episode 39 of the Startup Sessions. And welcome to episode 39. I'm very excited to be speaking with a woman that I admire and I respect greatly. I view her as someone that's a master at helping creative entrepreneurs really unlock their brilliance. I see this woman as a visionary that values truth and freedom and playfulness and adventure. So it's my pleasure to welcome Hiro Boga to the show. Welcome, Hiro.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy to meet you too.
Yes, this is a great. I've looked forward to this day, and I'll just go ahead and share this. I feel inspired to do it. Hiro's been a fantastic mentor and coach to my wife, Jill. And the last few months of her yoga practice, not her practice, but her business, her yoga business, has made these huge strides. And it's largely due to the relationship, Hiro, that she's had in working with you. And I've gotten to experience some of the benefits of that as Jill's husband. So this is a really special occasion to be speaking to you, and I'm super excited about it. Before we get into our discussion, which I'm very excited about, I want to give a brief introduction to Hiro Boga. Hiro is a business strategist, a teacher, an advisor, and a mentor. She's probably one of the most leading-edge business teachers that I know of. She's been an entrepreneur for most of her adult life. She's been creating transformational programs and retreats for creative entrepreneurs, for authors, for world-renowned teachers for 35 years. Correct, Hiro?
Yeah, well, yeah.
That is a long.
Astonishing as it sounds.
That's a long time. That's a lot of experience and wisdom and so much that is going to come out in the show today. Hiro lives in beautiful British Columbia, Canada, where she writes, teaches, and from what I understand through Jill, you really enjoy immersing yourself in the natural world that surrounds you.
I do.
So it's tempting to go on and on about the things I love about Hiro Boga, but I think it's more valuable to start our conversation together.
That sounds good. I'm done blushing already.
Hiro, you're one of the, I'll just say I think I said it earlier, one of the most cutting edge business coaches and strategists that I know of in the way that you blend several things into your work for creative entrepreneurs. But I did want to start off by asking you this. What's the most exciting and rewarding thing about working with creative entrepreneurs?
Oh, I have such a soft place in my heart for anybody who puts their livelihood on the line and takes the risk of starting something from scratch, of creating something of their own. It takes so much courage to do that. And it is one of the most rewarding paths that I know, because it really brings your soul into the nitty-gritty of your everyday life. You can't get much more practical than how you earn your living. And the soul is an eminently practical, creative force, So I love working with creative entrepreneurs because I see the potential that we have as a community, as a tribe, to transform the world of business and to shape the world around us to align with a vision of possibility, of sustainability, of support and plenty. And I don't know quite how to put this, but of right livelihood for everybody. We have a lot of problems in our world, and too often we approach them in this very narrow framework of, we try to fix one thing, and in fixing one thing we create 50 other problems because we're not thinking about the ecology of the whole. We're just looking at one tiny slice of it. And business traditionally has been like that, Even in the world of business, it's been one little slice that we approach, and we leave the best of ourselves outside the door when we enter the world of our businesses. And yet our businesses have the potential. They are embodied souls themselves. Each of our businesses has its own soul. And if we partner with the soul of our business to unfold its incredible possibilities, each one of us, we have between us the power to reshape our world and to create a world that works for everyone. So to me, that is the most exciting part of it.
Wow. That is a refreshing approach for me to hear. I came from a corporate background for 14 years. And some of it was wonderful and good and exciting. But there was also a lot of it that really, whether it was conscious or not, kind of asked people to leave who they really are out of the equation and become something that we're not, or that society expects us to be. And so, honestly, that was one of the reasons that drove me towards starting my own business, was the possibility to express myself freely in my own business exactly the way I wanted to. And
how long have you been doing your business?
Almost a year. End of August last year, so almost a full year. Yeah.
And are you experiencing that freedom that drew you to this in the first place?
So much. So much. Yes. Yeah. I have, of course, starting a new business takes effort and it takes work. But I've experienced more reward and more energy and more personal fulfillment and moments of brilliance than I've ever experienced in my working life. And it's amazing. It's the most amazing experience, one of, that I've ever embarked on.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that, because that truly is it. It gives you a playground.
Yeah.
to which you can bring all of yourself, to which you can bring all of your creative power, all of your genius, all of your gifts, all of your heart. And it continually calls us, to keep growing ourselves, because that's what it takes to grow our businesses. After almost 4 decades of doing this, for me, it is the number one companion that calls me forward to my own becoming.
I love that. It's interesting to me how my business, if I'm really paying attention to where it wants to go, how it evolves almost effortlessly in the directions that it needs to go. If I'm, consciously, paying attention, right? And I'm not resisting where it wants to go. And the more I try to push things into happening that don't need to happen or want to happen, the harder it becomes. So it is very much it's almost like a practice. I practice yoga because I enjoy it, and my wife's a yoga teacher. And I almost see my business as the same thing, as a practice, a flowing, moving practice that I really need to be in tune with.
It's a practice in partnership.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot like a good marriage,
Yeah.
It requires the same kinds of things. It requires that willingness to listen, that willingness to meet your business anew each day without assuming that you know what it is or you know what it can be.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you think about your relationship with your wife, if you met her with the expectancy that, oh, well, she is today what she was yesterday, you're going to become a barrier to her development and to your own. Whereas if you meet her in that place of, wow, I am so lucky to be here with you, and I can't wait to see what you're creating next or who you are today, then it continues to be an adventure in discovery and curiosity and creativity and heart, and then your marriage flourishes as well, right? And it's the same with business, yeah.
What a beautiful way to think about it. I've not really ever heard of or thought of the relationship with my business the way that you just put it. And I do put a lot of attention and intention into my relationship with Jill, into my marriage. And as a result, it is that exciting adventure. And I think that's such a brilliant way to look at the relationship we have with our businesses. Thank you for that. That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Hiro, I've got a question for you. We're touching on it for sure here, but I experience, I would say, a fair amount of people, whether they're clients or prospective clients or just entrepreneurs that I'm in discussion with, that they start off with a meaningful business. And then somewhere along the line, things maybe start to get off track and people start to look for fixes, maybe even quick fixes or strategies, and they start straying from their original intentions and values in their business. You talk about growing a business sustainably by staying true to your values. And I love that. And so I wanted to get your perspective on what does it mean to create a project or a business that's a reflection of your soul and of your values?
Well, I think, first of all, anything that we create, whether it's a business or a project in your business, it starts out with some feeling inside you, some sense of restlessness, of something wanting to push its way out into the world. And that something is the soul of your business saying, hey, I'm ready for this next stage of growth. And it's not a continual state. Like, you can't create constantly. There is a rhythm to any creation in business as in life, where there is that initial urge or call or push, and then when you finally say yes to it, and that may take a greater or lesser amount of time depending on what else is going on, and you say, okay, I will do this, and then you go through the steps that you have to take to make it happen. But if you take those steps without asking yourself what it is that you are serving, strategies are only useful if you know what it is they're intended to achieve. And those achievements, those intentions, have both inner and outer components. If you kind of focus on the outer components without asking yourself what the inner components are, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. And this is, I think, where a lot of people get lost, is that initial impetus, that call, is always the call of the soul, and the call of the soul is always to experience and express and serve qualities of soul. So they are not tangible outcomes. They're not, I'm starting a business because I want to earn $1 million a year, working 3 days a week or 3 hours a day, or whatever it is that, whatever story you're telling yourself. Mm-hmm. It may appear that way. You may interpret it that way. But if you truly sink into your heart and pay attention to what that movement of energy is about, it is always a call to greater freedom, to greater truth, to greater authenticity, to greater creativity, to greater service, to greater abundance and prosperity. I mean, these are all soul qualities. So when, I teach a 12-week program called Become Your Own Business Advisor, and it is a business building program. But out of that 12 weeks, we spend probably the first 8 weeks really honing in on what is the essence, what is the essence of your business, what is the soul of your business, what does it want, and then we spend time developing a relationship with it. Because until you are in relationship, you don't actually know. You're substituting what you think should happen for what it is that the soul of your business really wants to happen. And because it has its own life and its own trajectory, it comes from you, but it is not you. So again, it's using that analogy of marriage. You pay attention. You pay attention to this call from something that you love, even though you don't know what shape it's going to take. And by paying attention to it, by developing a relationship with it, by listening to it, and by harmonizing its desires with your own, because it's a partnership, You can't just sort of say, well, I'm going to obliterate my desires and I'm going to do whatever my business wants, because to do that is the sure route to disaster, just as it would be in any relationship. You can't give up yourself. You have to find a way to meet the soul of your business with your own power and sovereignty and creative freedom, and say, okay, we are equal partners here, and together we will find what our joint vision is, and we will make it happen. And the way we will make it happen is by first defining those essence qualities that are at the heart of our business. And then by looking at how do we express, it's not even a reflection, you use the term reflection, but it's not a reflection. It's how do we express these qualities? How do they naturally want to be expressed in the world of my business? So if those values and those qualities of soul essence include, for me, they include things like impeccability. They include strength of character, integrity, of creating in the world of my business a cohesive wholeness so that anybody who enters the world of my business has an experience of what it feels like to be whole and what it feels like to be in a place that is whole. And because we're human and because there are many moving parts to a business, that process of creating wholeness within your business is always an ongoing process. But if you start from and always ask yourself that central question, what is going to lead to greater wholeness and coherency and integration in the world of my business, then it makes decision-making very easy. You don't get so caught up in the latest shiny thing. And there are always going to be latest shiny things. They're going to, whatever the zeitgeist changes constantly, especially in the online business landscape. And, one day it's, okay, everybody's promoting their business on Facebook and social media, and these are the strategies for doing it. And another day it's, this is the way to do it. This is the way you do these big launches, or whatever it is. Like, those things are mutable. They're like soap bubbles. Yeah. They're shiny. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're made to be admired, but you don't build a business on them. Doesn't mean that you don't apply them if they make sense for your business at that stage, but you apply them in a way that feels right to you. I have a Facebook business page, and it took me a long time to get to a place where I could feel like, yeah, I can see how this can also be an expression of my business that holds, it's like a fractal of my business. It holds all of the essence qualities of my business in this Facebook business page. And I didn't put one up until I could find a way to do it that felt in harmony with the rest of the world of my business. So I think that that's really it. What happens to people, and this, I have clients who have big, complex, very, very profitable businesses that they started. And the thing about entrepreneurs is that in some way we are adventurers. We are willing to take those risks. We're willing to go where no one has gone before in the same way and create something that hasn't existed before. So there is a kind of momentum and excitement at that startup stage, especially because you have your hand in everything. You are wearing every hat in the world of your business. You're doing all of the tasks and the jobs, and you're the creative force. You're also implementing everything. And then you grow to a stage where that is no longer sustainable. You have to begin building a team, and your role has to change. And that is often where people lose both that intimate connection with the heart and soul of their business, and with it their sense of mission and enthusiasm. And that's where they lose their way. And one surefire sign of it is that they don't feel inspired or happy to wake up in the morning and excited to get on with their business day.
Yes.
So what is required? At each stage of growth, our business requires us to grow and to embody and incarnate different aspects of ourselves. Different portions of our genius come into embodiment at different stages, because they remain just potentials until they're actually called for. And that's what's so brilliant about business, is that it's the necessity of it that says you have to grow into this, or the business is not going to continue on in any viable form. So it's like in that changing landscape, you have to have something that is true that you can follow. And that something is those values and um, those qualities of essence. I mean, I talk about it in terms of soul essence, but you can think about them as your non-negotiable values. You know, if I have to do this, I will no longer be the person who embodies these values. Or if I take this step in my business will no longer embody those values. And so, no, I can't do it. It was interesting. You know, my friend Jen Louden was a wonderful teacher and has been in business for a very long time. Posted a thing from Knouse where she was teaching a writing retreat and said, there's been one opening for week 2 of this retreat. If somebody wants to come, it's next week. And I posted back saying, wish I could, I can't do it. And somebody responded to my post and said, wow, I thought, you know, you could always do whatever you wanted, and this is a real eye-opener. And my response to that was, well, you can. You always have a choice. But the choice is going to be, am I going to do this at the expense of the integrity of my values? So I could cancel my clients and book a flight and hop on a plane and go to this retreat. But I have a prior commitment to my clients. I have a commitment to my own well-being, which is not served by me dashing off somewhere at a moment's notice. And then at another time, it might have been exactly right, you know, but it wasn't, right? So every moment in some way you are making choices. I mean, that's the gift. That's the gift of freedom, is you get to choose. And you get to choose those constraints within which you can truly exercise your freedom to create. So freedom is not, you know, in business as in anything, it is not limitless possibility. Freedom is always about choosing those forms and structures that emerge organically from your true values and your true desires and the true essence of who you are and who your business is. And when you stay true to that, you won't go astray. It may mean that your business grows more slowly. It may mean it grows faster. It may mean it will always mean that it grows organically according to the inner law of its own being. You know, if you've ever grown a garden, there are a number of different ways to grow a garden, but the equivalent of what I'm talking about would be, you know, to nourish the soil, to enrich and renew the soil, to pay attention to which plants require what kind of you know, what shade do they require, how much sun do they require, and to allow them to grow in harmony with each other, with their own nature, and with the soil in which they grow, rather than by spraying them with a chemical foliar feed that causes gigantic blooms, but then that shortens the life of the plant because it's forcing a growth that is not sustainable by the life energy of the plant, right? So it's the same with a business. It's like you can force growth. You can say, okay, I'm going to go all out and I'm going to do this big launch and I'm going to use every tactic I can think of and everything that everybody has ever suggested. And I'm going to rake in this massive audience and tons of money and great success. But then what? You haven't taken the time to build the relationships that will make that sustainable. It's not that that strategy cannot work. It can work if it's in harmony with the whole world of your business and with the values of your business. And ultimately, that is always going to include sustainability in relationships, sustainability in the health of your business, in your own health. It's never going to be about sacrificing your true ideals for short-term gain.
Okay. And that is a breath of fresh air for me. The thinking of my business and thinking of it in such a way that, I can be in relationship with my business in such a way where I am making no sacrifices and I'm connecting with the wholeness of my business. I mean, this is just such, it's such a eye-opening and revolutionary way to think about business from where I come from, Hiro, from the corporate world.
Is it really?
I think I'll speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'll speak for myself and my background. And I would answer for myself, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say though that coming from my background was in technology, and I worked for a gentleman that was very successful at what he did, very, very successful. And I will say that as I'm listening to you talk about your perspective on having your values represented in your business, even though this man started, in this case, 3 successful technology companies, his values were very much totally ingrained in these businesses. And they were really good, like really solid values from my perspective. And they were infused in these businesses, even though they were like tech businesses, they were, if as I think about it, it was almost as if he was approaching these businesses, these technology businesses, from a very grounded and very spiritual perspective. And they were all successful. And he always had great employees working for him that were very dedicated and proud. And at the time that I worked for him, it felt like a completely different experience than some of the other places that I worked. And what you're saying just got me thinking about this. So in this case, with this man and his business, it was actually very much representative of what you're talking about here. You're causing me to really think about this.
Yeah. I mean, this is the nothing that puts technology or anything else at odds with what we're discussing here, because it's a way of life. It's not just a way of business. It's a way of life.
Yeah.
If you live your life from that place of, everything in my world, every choice that I make, every way that I choose to behave, is a choice that comes from my values. I am honoring my values in everything that I do. And because I'm human, I will make mistakes, I'll go off track, but because I have this consistent practice of paying attention and honoring my values, then I'll bring myself back. I will correct the mistakes. I will backtrack and come back to what matters to me. And in doing that, you can't help but create success. Always bearing in mind that, that each of us has a completely unique definition of success, and that definition changes quite naturally over your life cycle and the life of your business. How I defined success when I was in my 20s is not how I define success now in my mid-60s. But ultimately all success is based on a kind of harmonizing of your life, your work, your relationships, your business, with your deepest values, with your soul's essence. And then you can be content and you can be at peace no matter what is going on.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you can be making tons of money or have be famous and rich and powerful, and that peace will elude you because there's war inside you.
Yeah.
Your soul will not allow you to rest in a place where you are going against your own true values.
Yeah. This is something that Jill and I are in some cases experimenting with right now. We're realizing when we started, Jill's been in her business for quite some time now, but we're now working together as entrepreneurs. So we're practicing coming into alignment with what's important to us, the values that are important to us. And a couple of the values that are important to us, both individually and collectively, are the values of replenishment and adventure. And we're learning this on the fly. And it's a very near and dear subject to us right now. So we're getting ready to embark on a 3-week journey in our RV where we're going to unplug and step away. And it's a bit it's a little bit scary for me, like in the first year of a business, to say that, okay, I'm going to step away from things for a little while and trust that these values that I have and that are important to me are going to actually allow my business to be sustainable long term, as you were stating earlier.
Yeah, and you know the piece, the linking piece there between your values and the sustainability of your business is structure. So you can unplug and go away for 3 weeks because you've created systems and structures that can carry your business while you're away.
Yes. That's so true.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential. I think part of what I see happen, and I've seen this over 35 odd years, is that if there are people who love to hang out in that kind of soul spirit realm, and they don't want to deal with the pragmatics of business. So they'll say, oh, well, if it's meant to be, it'll be, or I'm just going to do what I love and bring my soul and my values and my heart, and people will come. But they won't create the structures which are the pattern and the form of your business. Without a pattern and form, the business is just pure essence. It doesn't exist. And those are the businesses that struggle to make it. They just don't make it. They never seem to get off the ground or develop any momentum. And, the people who are creating them are heartbroken. They don't understand why. When here they are giving their craft, their art, their genius, their heart to their work, why their business is not supporting them. Well, a business needs a pattern and a form. People need some way to enter the world of your business that is clear and defined and helps them to feel safe. And if you don't create those structures, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
So for you, I'm so happy to see, you and Jill are of a generation where you have you have a great part of your entrepreneurial life is ahead of you, and you have so much potential to change the world of entrepreneurship by the choices that you make and how you shape your business at this stage, in year 1, year 2, year 4, 5, 6, right, of your business life. And what you do becomes a path for others, not necessarily to follow your path, but to be able to see, oh yeah, here's how people are doing it in a way that is truly satisfying and truly successful in the best sense of the word, because it means that you're shaping a life that brings you joy, You're shaping a business that brings you profit and that serves your world and that creates goodness in your world. And the fact that you are making these choices this early in your career as an entrepreneur to say, I'm going to unplug for 3 weeks, we're going to take off, it is important for us. Yes, it is an adventure and yes, it is a risk, but it makes me so happy to see you do that, to see people in your generation do that. Because that's what I found for myself, is that even on a day-to-day basis, if I don't have that rhythm of rest and recovery and replenishment, then I get away from my center. And when I'm away from my center, everything becomes harder. And because we can only offer what is within us, if what is within me is depletion and all of the attendant feelings of responsibility, guilt, and resentment that go with depletion, then that's what you're putting out into your world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yay for you. I'm so happy.
We're very excited to embark upon our journey, for sure. Yeah, and it's interesting too, that I think if people really were to peel things back and look at some of the entrepreneurial success stories of the ones that are in the magazines. If people were to study Bill Gates and the late Steve Jobs and Richard Branson and many other examples, they all made it a part of their life when they were at the height of their businesses to regularly unplug and pull away to replenish themselves and rejuvenate themselves and bring a fresh new perspective to their businesses. And I guess what I'm saying is, if it was good enough for them, then I suppose it's good enough for me.
I think it's essential to play.
Yeah.
It's essential to get into that space where you're doing things just for the joy of them. Because so much of what happens is when we're working in our businesses, it becomes so easy to get really goal-driven and to do, because so much of what you have to do is stuff you're doing with a purpose. You have to do this in order to get that done, in order to launch this, to create that, and there is a place for that kind of purposeful creation. But in order to get back to the pure roots of creativity, we also have to create just for the joy of it. And that comes from play. That comes from that kind of exploration that doesn't have a destination in mind.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful and well stated. Play. I love to play. And it really does when people, I think when people outside of your business experience you as or me, having played and, either on a personal level or a business level, that comes through. It comes through your business. It comes through what you do. And it's so refreshing. People want to be a part of that. People want that energy in their lives. I want that energy in my life. So to do that, I know I've got to, continue to invite it into my life. So I love that we had a discussion about that.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, Hiro, this is fascinating and inspirational and so much fun. Our time, however, is winding down a bit. And so I wanted to go into asking you my lightning round of questions. So let's go with that, okay?
All right.
All right. Hiro, what's been the most influential book for you?
Every book I've ever written has been enormously influential because it's changed who I've become in the process of writing it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever book is really steering me in the direction of my calling at the moment becomes the most influential in the moment. And at the moment, that is a book of conversations with Stanley Kunitz, who is a poet who died. I think he was 100 when he died. He just died last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a collection of conversations, and there's so much depth and wisdom and that immediacy that comes from this kind of conversation. They were transcripts of conversations he had over the course of a very long and very public life as a poet. So, yeah.
Okay, great. All right. What is your favorite conference or industry event? There's different names for these kinds of things. But what's a favorite for you and why?
I haven't been to a conference or an industry event in I don't know how many years. I think the last one I went to was probably 8 or 9 years ago, and it was Book Expo in New York. And I'm a book lover, so
yeah.
In some ways it was a book lover's heaven, and in other ways it was an introvert's nightmare because it's at the Javits Center and it's miles of concrete, tons of people, but I had some wonderful conversations. I picked up some marvelous books. I heard some inspiring speakers, but honestly, I don't go to these things. Not at this stage of my life. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. What do you find has been and continues to be the most effective strategy for growing your own business?
Love, integrity, and wholeness.
I love that. All right. How about your favorite business tool or resource?
I don't know about tools, but my favorite business resource is, number one, my daily communion with the soul of my business, with the deva of my business. We have a morning time of communing and connecting and attuning together and envisioning what's going to happen that day and just reconnecting. And I think that is, for me, the single best resource I have.
Okay. And the last question is one I love. As I just mentioned earlier, a big part of what I try to bring into my business and my life is adventure and joy and play. So what is one of the recent exciting adventures that you've had in your business, in your life, or it could even be a favorite hobby that you have?
Well, what's exciting for me is probably very, very boring for everybody else. But I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, a dear friend of mine who is also a writer came over here to my place, and we had booked off the whole week to have a writing retreat, just the two of us. And it was marvelous. And it was just wonderful. We spent, time writing by ourselves. We spent time playing. We spent time reading out loud to each other from things that we were reading. We ate wonderful food, and to me, my adventures tend to be interior adventures now, and not so much the hiking in the Karakoram Mountains or something. Those were the kinds of things, those outward adventures were were more important at another stage in my life. And it seems like the inner adventures are the ones that I inhabit now. So
that sounds like an amazing adventure to me.
it was an amazing adventure. It really was.
All right. Hiro, as we wind things up here, I want to quickly talk to the viewers and the listeners about one of your signature programs that's coming up in September. And you alluded to it earlier. It's called Become Your Own Business Advisor. My wife, Jill, is enrolled in this program, and she's very excited about it. But will you please share who this program is for and some of the things that people could expect? And I'll make sure to link it up in the show notes for this episode so that people can easily find it by going to episode 39.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's Become Your Own Business Advisor is a 12-week program. I teach it twice each year. And this fall, I will teach it for the 10th time. So we're having kind of a celebration because so many people have gone through the program now, and you know, its ripple effects kind of move out into the world. It is for entrepreneurs who already have a business. It may be at an early stage of business. I've had entrepreneurs in there who've been in business for 25 years, and everything in between. Because what we're working on in this business is foundational. It's the building the business foundations for a sustainable, lasting, truly satisfying, meaningful, profitable business in the long term. It doesn't matter in some ways what stage your business is at. I have had people in the program who don't have a business yet, but it honestly is not. It's not really a program for people who don't have a business unless they understand all of the kind of nitty-gritty basic business building pieces. You know, it's because we start with what is your deep desire, and how do you create and shape a container for the vision that you have and that the soul of your business has for your business. So we're starting from a kind of foundational perspective, and a lot of the time that we spend is on creating the world of your business from the inside out. So it is essentially for people who are open to the possibility that there's more to business than simply, you know, a formula that you apply, and that business is an expression of soul. Because if you don't believe that, then you're going to have a really hard time with this program. Mm-hmm. You also have to be open to creating with energy, to create, because the whole program is using energy alchemy skills and practices to create on a multidimensional level, from the very practical, you know, this is what you need for systems and structures, this is how you set up, you know, the flow of your marketing or the flow of your offers, to this is the soul of your business, and this is the daily structure for connecting with it and for creating with it. You have to have that kind of curiosity. You don't necessarily have to believe anything, but you have to have that openness and curiosity and willingness to try things for yourself and see how they work for you. Mm-hmm. So in some ways, you have to have a kind of explorer's mindset and a kind of scientific empiricism. You know, scientists try things.
Yeah.
They start with a hypothesis, they'll try it, they'll test it, and they'll see how it works.
Sure.
And that's kind of how it is with Become Your Own Business Advisor. And in terms of what people can expect, they can expect profound transformation. If I don't know anybody who has gone through this program, who has done the work, who hasn't come out of it profoundly changed, and profoundly changed not into something else, but into more of who they actually are. They become more themselves. Their business becomes more itself. And the outcome of that, it varies widely. You know, I've had people come in who have had hugely successful businesses that have been, you know, mature businesses that have been going for many, many years, and they've taken the program and then they've created an entirely new business and closed down their old business.
Wow.
Or sold their old business, you know. I have had people come into the program who started out with a kind of baby business, and it didn't really go anywhere because what they discovered was that they didn't really want to be entrepreneurs. What they wanted was something else. So then they used what they learned in the program to create the something else. Sometimes it's been a new relationship, sometimes it's been a baby, sometimes, you know, it's different things. It's been a book. So what people learn in the program is not abstract learning, and it's not formulaic. It's not, you know, do this and then do that and then do that. It is, here's how you become, because you create by becoming the person whose life includes your creation. You know, so here's how you become the person whose life includes a business that is sustainable, vibrant, joyful, profitable, and serves your world.
Yeah.
And that's different for different people. And the thing is, you know, a lot of people come back and take the program over and over and over again. I've had people come back 7 or 8 times and take it over, because each time they apply it, they create something new in the world of their business, or they deepen some understanding within themselves, or they go through an inner transformation that they need to go through, or they're building a new team. They use it for specific projects, because one of the ways the program works is people pick a project that they want to create and manifest through the 12 weeks of the program. And then they apply everything that they're learning in the program to that project, because otherwise it's just abstract. You can't learn to swim by watching swimming videos. You have to get in the water and swim. You know? And it's the same thing with this, right?
Yeah.
It's very much a practical, here's how you apply these skills and see what happens.
Okay. All right. It sounds wonderful. And I would encourage anyone that this even sounds a little bit interesting to go to Hiro's website, which is hiroboga.com, hiroboga.com, and take a look at Become Your Own Business Advisor. So thank you, Hiro, for sharing that with us. And thank you so much for your presence and your words, and for sharing who you are and what you represent, and how we can all have more meaningful and more wholeness in our businesses and our lives. This has been a fantastic discussion. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Michael. You make it very, very easy. It's been a real delight to talk to you. And as I said, I feel like, you know, I've known you for a long time without ever having met you.
Now we can say we finally met.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Hiro. Fantastic. All right, thank you so much. And we'll make sure to get another fresh new episode of the Startup Sessions next week. So please return for that. Thanks, everyone, for listening and viewing. Thank you, Hiro. Take care. Well, I'd say that Hiro shared more valuable business wisdom in the last 45 minutes than most people get in years. Nurturing our businesses is something that's rarely talked about, let alone talked about in such detail. And let's face it, Being in business for ourselves is one of the most courageous yet vulnerable activities that we will ever pursue. So learning how to establish non-negotiable values and weave them into the fabric of our businesses is just so important. I think that creating a sustainable business for the long term is almost everyone's intention starting out. And it's been so rewarding to hear Hiro talk about the value of laying a sound foundation that makes it possible to have fun and enjoy the process of creating something meaningful. And this interview was such a reminder that creating a business that's a reflection of our sole purpose is a combination of integrating our values along with systems and structure to ensure that we thrive in what we're offering to the world. I hope you enjoyed this incredible discussion with Hiro Boga. Don't just listen and let this information slip by. Set aside some time to establish the values for your business that will lead to a successful, sustainable, and profitable journey for years to come. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to head on over to thestartupsessions.com for a full recap of all our episodes, including links to amazing resources for each guest, thoughtful and provoking blog articles, and many other great resources. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And if today's guest can create a meaningful business and achieve a life of freedom through a business with soul, why can't you?